I think that Man City got into the game they were not confident. They were not really believing in the surprise, maybe scoring their first and giving them a real game, giving them a real challenge. Obviously, it helps Real Madrid if you score after 4 minutes with this counter break from Mbappé. Beautiful goal by Mbappé. But it shows you already kind of the mental state of Man City going into that game, because I mean, with a long ball like that, from a coaching perspective, this is absolutely no-go that you can get beaten so easily, over the top of your center back. The other center back is not backing up and not helping him out in time. I mean, it was just a perfect start for Real Madrid, and it proves again that Real Madrid is just a team that once the things really matter, and when it gets really into crunch time, which it does in February, March of each year, then they step it up. They step it up another couple of notches. And obviously with Mbappé now getting into a rhythm, with Mbappé now really showing his qualities, week in, week out. We discussed in the beginning of the season all his issues, all his problems, and we all had our doubts, is that the right place for him? Is it really that move to Real Madrid? And so he proved us all wrong in that way. And it's just fun to watch him now, being, having a smile in his face, being positive, being confident. And this front four of Real Madrid is just destroying you. And so this game came at the right time for Real Madrid, and it came at a bad time or the wrong time for Man City. And it's a year that Manchester City is going through, and especially obviously Pep Guardiola is going through, where things don't work out the way they imagined, and they struggle. They struggle obviously with injuries as well, and you feel for them, but at the same time you got to give Real Madrid a lot of credit and a lot of compliments, and they are right there. I mean, they are again there to challenge the Champions League trophy, and this tonight was a very, very strong statement.
And to Jurgen's point, Frank, speaking about coming through at the right time, what about Kylian Mbappé?
That's simply amazing. I think in 14 games he scored like 17 or 18 goals lately. He's been outstanding. He's giving all what people were expecting from him. We didn't see a good Mbappé, and we have to be fair, for like 6 months or even just before he left for Paris Saint-Germain. But now he's back from his best. I mean, what he showed today, the commitment, the skill that he had was amazing. But it's exactly what I saw today on the perfect picture, on a perfect frame, is the first goal. Asensio, a young player, very confident, not being shy of launching a long ball.
I'll say that how much of a difference there is in general between Real Madrid right now and Manchester City, because if you go back a week ago, it should have been far more than 3-2, regardless. You get into this match thinking that you're going to get something out of Manchester City, and Real Madrid just displayed exactly what they can be in the attack. Through the midfield, back line, you may have some questions, but I would also say that in order for them to win the game and control the game in the manner in which they did today, they had to get work through the midfield. So shout out to Dani Ceballos, for example, who I thought was excellent today. Tchouaméni, who has been playing as a center back in the pairing today with Dani Ceballos, he was excellent. But in order for them to be excellent, you also have to point the finger at Manchester City and look at that midfield and say, no, it's just not happening, and it's not going to happen. Gundogan looks old. He does. Bernardo Silva doesn't seem to have the spark that he once did. And the worst sort of team that Manchester City could have played against is Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid does have athleticism in transition and does have runs out of the midfield by Jude Bellingham. And nobody was tracking those runs. And they do have players that can get in behind through Kylian Mbappé. And they do have 1v1 players with Rodrigo and Vini. There was a sequence in which Rodrigo, all he did was stop the ball. Stop the ball on the turn, and Gundogan almost ended up in the stands. That is sort of the mismatch in athleticism that we saw today in full display. Attacking talent with speed that just kills Manchester City. Speed right now kills Manchester City. They have no control in matches. Real Madrid had control last week, this week, and it just felt like everything was set up for that front four to take over, and Mbappe took over today.
City used to be a nightmare to play against, not just because they had the best players, the best manager. They passed it better than almost every team. Didn't always win, but They generally played teams off the park. But when you had the ball, or you tried to play out from the back, they pressed better, quicker, and faster than most other teams. They won it back. They either won it back or you gave it away. They have become so easy to play against now that teams are just playing through them. And when you allow teams like Real Madrid with their players, easy possession. And how many tackles did City make today? I mean, you look at the goals. First goal was a great ball, obviously, over the top. The boys have talked about the positioning and the defending. Sometimes difficult against Mbappe's pace. But you've got to have yourself in the right starting position, which they didn't. You look at the second goal, great football from Real Madrid. But even when that ball goes to Rodrigo and then to Mbappe, there's 5 and 6 City jerseys. Cannot be in a position to stand off the best players in the world and expect to come out on the good side of a result. And unfortunately for City, this game over 2 legs has not been a difficult one to call. It has not. We've seen Real Madrid struggle at times in La Liga against pretty mediocre sides. And I think that tells you where Man City are at the moment, is that Real Madrid upped their game, City cannot up their game. They have some big problems now with bringing more players in and the recruitment. They've already done so. But this era of most of these players, a lot of these players, and Ali touched on it, Bernat, and they have been brilliant. Walker's gone. Ederson hasn't always been a number one recently with Ortega been in. John Stones has had his injury problems. They've struggled a little bit in the sort of left-back area. Gundogan was never going to come back the same player. Obviously, they're missing Rodri, who is the best in the world in his position. Kevin De Bruyne can't influence games like he once did. So when you start to go through that, we're talking about the engine room of the team, the spine of a team. That is a very, very difficult situation to be in. Manchester City they've had the conveyor belt on before where players have left, like Vincent Kompany, like David Silva, like Fernandinho, and others. And they've always been able to go and bring in replacements who were either adequate replacements or better. But it's tough to see how they're going to better what they have had in the last couple of years, because it has been pretty dominant. And to go out and better that when these players come to the sort of twilight of their career, I think it's got a very, very difficult situation. And also, and I'm sorry to go on, I didn't like, and as good as he's been, I didn't like the Man City manager talking pre-game about we have only a 1% chance of winning this game. Off the back of a thumping of Newcastle at home with a Marmoush hat-trick, that's not a very good message to send to world-class players who have played at the highest level, that we've basically no chance of going to the Bernabeu and getting a result.
And you're talking, for the most part there, Craig, about the level of play of this team. But you mentioned earlier that there's an acceptance to who they are. And I'm not even going to address their level of play. I'll address coming out of halftime, you're down 2-0. You're probably out of it, but if there's going to be a reaction, it's going to have to happen early on in the second half. And as they come out on the field, and they're just standing on the field, you never saw togetherness. You never saw energy. You never saw intensity. You never saw leadership. It's just guys standing there with blank stares in their face. They didn't believe that they could do this. Now, it doesn't help that your manager says we only have 1% chance. That doesn't help the situation at all. But the whole feeling of Manchester City is we're not good enough to compete at this level. We'll run around, we'll pass the ball around, and maybe we'll pull something off, but we don't truly believe that we're capable of doing this. And if they were going to ever be able to do this at Santiago Bernabeu, they had to manufacture from nowhere. They had to manufacture a sense of confidence that just hasn't been there the whole season, and it was never going to happen.
But it was supposed to be closer than this, wasn't it, Frank?
Yes, and it's why I wonder, why, Guardiola is saying that. How far are we going to go before we're going to point him as maybe someone responsible for that kind of result that they have and they have been having for the season? And there is a question about the Premier League as well. You have a team who just beat Newcastle 4-0, Newcastle have been absolutely fantastic lately. We are saying that Real Madrid sometimes they have bad games, and Man City, they come to Santiago Bernabeu, they are smashed for 90 minutes, they don't react, and they are forced in the Premier League. So I guess that apart, and we can put Liverpool and Arsenal maybe away from that criticism, but what does it say about the Premier League? Because if Manchester City is not capable of beating or even fighting and giving hard time to average Real Madrid this season, what we see in the La Liga, what does it say about the Premier League again? So maybe some others, maybe Craig and Ali can answer to that, but really, I'm so disappointed because there is no reaction, there is no time spirit, and but they're forced in the league, in the Premier League.
Let's talk about the winners. We've talked enough about Man City right now. I wanted to get a take from you, Jurgen, on Kylian Mbappe, because we did get to see all the best of him tonight. The speed, the quick feet, the finishing.
Yeah, and I think, it's really necessary to talk also about Carlo Ancelotti and what he's done over the last 8-9 months. Obviously, they had their troubles in the beginning of the season. Kylian had his troubles to get into a rhythm, to find a connection with Vinicius Junior, with Rodrigo, with Bellingham. We all were questioning, and is it possible to play with these 4 front players and not conceding too many goals on the other end? And it's a little bit, the discussion we always had over the years, when they tried to put the superstars together at Paris Saint-Germain, which didn't work with Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. And for, whatever reason, Carlo Ancelotti is always capable over time, it's not happening overnight, to put the pieces together in a perfect manner. And this was a demonstration tonight that he is able to put these pieces together, to melt these players together. And what was fascinating today certainly was the fact that they were not only attacking together, they had fun, they were passing the ball to each other. There was no jealousy at all involved. They were all happy for Mbappe scoring the hat-trick, the 3 goals. They were also fighting defensively. Rodrigo's dropped back, Bellingham dropped back, even Vinicius Junior dropped back. And this is where you see that they build a chemistry. They build a spirit within that team that is ready to challenge now the title in the Champions League. And obviously they are with Barcelona and with Atletico Madrid in the run for the Spanish title as well. But this is the handwriting of Carlo Ancelotti. Sometimes, we just months passing by and everybody's discussing what works, what doesn't work. And he just keeps working quietly. He's talking to his players behind the scene. We don't know what's really going on. And then comes along February, March, and suddenly we see a different face of a team. And this is really fascinating to see. And it's really fun to watch now Kylian Mbappe to come out there and be there also for his teammates. Not only thinking or being busy in his brain, thinking about his own goals, his own runs, his own moments. You can see he feels for his teammates. He wants to be there for them as well. He doesn't mind if they get the goal or they get the better moment on the field. And therefore, it was a huge, huge step forward for Real Madrid to integrate these 4 together, but integrate them with the rest of the team defensively as well.
Next.
I thought the epitome of what Jurgen was talking about is Tony Rudiger's back in the team. And he's just a guy who wants to do the stuff that not a lot of other people want to do. He wants to do the defensive side of the game. And when Asensio makes a great challenge, I can't remember who. Marmoush in the box, Rudiger's over with the chest out, trying to knock him over. He's basically patting the young man on the back, and he's getting the sort of team spirit. This defensive aspect, it's not just about the superstars, it's about the other side of the game as well. The superstars are the superstars. Over the 2 games, I thought Dani Ceballos did a penalty apart at the Etihad when he was a bit clumsy. I thought over the 2 games he did a terrific job. And people like Valverde are just invaluable. Fede Valverde, go and play there, play there, run there. Marcus Llorente's the very same at Atletico Madrid. Right back, centre midfield, right midfield, wherever you want to play him. Energy, quality, maybe not quite as much as Valverde, but kind of similar player in a sense with the engine. And I just, as much as we talk about Mbappe, and we're seeing the brilliant Mbappe at the moment, we're seeing a better Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo and all that sort of stuff, but you need the people at the coalface. You need the people, you need the Tchouaménis, the Camavingas, the Ceballos, the Valverdes. You need all these guys to do the hard yards to get the just rewards for the big guys that get the headlines up front. And over the 2 games, Real Madrid did that far, far better than Man City.